Hello, Jamie and the Jets.
Good morning, Andy.
How you doing? Thank you for joining us today to discuss the 4th Jamie and the Jets album, which has just come out, called Coping Mechanism. I've been listening to the record. I really enjoy it. I've got some thoughts on it I'd love to discuss with you today, but more importantly I want to hear what your thoughts are about it. Tell me, what is the thought behind the title? So we've gone for Coping Mechanism. Could be obvious, but tell me, when did you settle on that and why have you gone with that?
I settled on it during a colourful exchange with Lucy, my wife, and I remember using the phrase 2 or 3 times in that conversation. And I'm thinking a coping mechanism is anything you want it to be. It can be good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've put quite a lot of thought into various album names. And so sometimes, yeah, it's really important. Sometimes, you know, it's like name of a band, it gives you an idea of what's cut on the record. But for this one, I don't really see a connection overwhelmingly. The name wasn't born from the lyric, or wasn't born from the overall concept. It's just the name that I liked, or a concept I really.
I think titles are evocative, and I think it's quite open that it can be used for anything. Anyone listens to it's going to pin their own ideas on it. How does that link into the cover art you've used for the record? Because I know there's a great photograph that you've had done.
The cafe in the village where the photograph was taken, I just think is a fantastic space. And again, just as an independent thought, I thought I want to use that. And we had a great day, just very similar to this. We sat around, we got to drink tea and coffee and eat pastry and stuff like that. And it was fantastic. And then our really, really good friend Mick, who's a phenomenal sort of creative graphic designer, photographer, came down and took some absolutely amazing photographs. So it was just using a space, and I think that's something that's I think we do as a band, is just find something that works for us, a space that works for us musically, spiritually, you know, and we try and embody that. So to me, that was a nice space, and it made a good photograph. And also, I really like the idea that could have been anywhere, that coffee shop, but because it's in my village, and you know, and we centred ourselves around there, I thought it was lovely. So it sort of came together.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Kind of where the band grew, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
That village.
Yeah, because of the open mic nights we used to run there and stuff like that.
Which is kind of how we started singing in our improvised harmony things, where we just gradually insinuated ourselves. It couldn't get rid of us.
Yeah, great.
I think it's an organic way of doing it, isn't it? Rather than saying, right, he's got a good haircut, he's got to get in the band. You took it from what musically is there. I want to get specific into songs now. And what I did yesterday is I went through the songs again, listened to it, and I thought I'm going to write down the thoughts I get as I'm hearing it. And then some of them aren't questions, lots of them aren't questions, but I want you to respond to it and say if you agree, disagree, or expand on it. So, song by song. I'm Just an Animal. I've written, this is my favourite song. It's so aggressive in the delivery. But something I noticed in the recording towards the end, I hadn't really noticed before, is there more than one person doing like a howly sound at the end? Have I imagined that? Is that all you guys?
Me. But,
is it?
Jamie has this annoying habit of getting me in the studio, trying to get me to sing like a diva, which I'm really not.
Right.
It's like the opposite of my vocal
She says that now.
comfortableness.
That's what a diva would say.
I can't work like this. But it's like, can you just like sing like an animal? I was like, great.
So they're all you?
Oh, but with quite a lot of
distortion.
effect and distortion put on it. So that one I did have to do on my own because I couldn't physically do that in a room with too many people.
Yeah.
It was quite a process.
It's
quite
a different
cathartic.
I love it. Genuinely, I think it's really good. But also, it's quite subtle. It's not like all over it. It just slides in. But it comes in a couple of times. And I was like, ooh, I hadn't heard that before. Sun Trap, I put, this needs to be listened to without moving. And be in the Sun Trap Saturday morning as a kid. And like, it's exactly... Can you be any more specific about that Saturday morning? I mean, when did you start? When did that memory come back to you thinking, that's exactly that safe place?
And actually that could be a good cinematic song.
I was thinking that,
because it does, again, it really does, like Animal does, it paints its own picture. I think Sun Trap musically, that's obviously what I think we're trying to do with it, is paint that picture of that emotion. But yeah, you're exactly right. I was very lucky. I grew up in a big Victorian house with a big bay window at the front, and the sofa was put in the bay window, and actually on a Saturday morning, during exactly this time of year, so this is November when we're recording this interview, the sun is low, it's coming in, this front room we had, this sofa would sit in the sun, and on a Saturday morning, I don't sit still for very long. I don't find that. And to find myself sitting still just in the heat, I found that remarkable. That song was conceived, the memory, as you said, that came flooding back to me, because when I do a bit of teaching, I teach on the east side of the school, and the light comes flooding in, and I love it. And again, it gets really warm. You can sit in the sun, and yeah, suddenly all those feelings came back to me. And that's a very specific memory of lying on that couch.
Yeah. Me and my depression, that line, there ain't no pleasing you, it really kind of kicks me. And as a listener, and knowing your band, difficult song on the record for me, I find it really challenging, because it's so kind of like, you know, that
it's kind of pessimistic.
It's light and dark, isn't it?
It's like a lot of the record's quite bright and open and welcoming.
It's annoyingly cheerful.
It's annoyingly cheerful.
It's
something which is so...
Like in Girlfriend of the Coma type way, let's write a really cheerful song about something really awful.
Yeah. I guess once you start playing it, it turns into a pop song, doesn't it? But I just find it quite challenging lyrically with what you're saying, with how it's going, which I think is why it's a great record. But I also find it really hard to listen to. Genuinely find that tricky.
Because it evokes something in you, you mean?
No, it evokes something in you, I think. Because I know you, and it's like, for you to have written those words, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine how...
No, it's pretty grim.
Yeah, I mean, it is, because it's not particularly... it's not hidden, is it? It's very in daylight. It's not too cryptic, the lyrics.
No,
you know? And I think, yeah, I can imagine that.
It's a metaphor.
And I can imagine how bad that would be to... You know, you're going away and it's still there, isn't it? It goes with you everywhere. Yeah.
I really like it because, in contrast to the kind of peaceful, contemplative, thoughtful tracks on the album, which are more where we would probably prefer to be, the depression's like, well, yeah, but this is part of the mix, it's in here, it's in your face, you know, and it's like, it's an acceptance of it, the way that it's kind of cheerful and upbeat.
Yeah.
So I think it's really clever that it's in there in that form, because it's kind of the, you know, it's the necessary flip side.
So maybe
really
best
nice.
not to ask any more questions. It's like deconstructing.
He was really laughing at the lyrics. And there was a little bit of me going, yeah, but this isn't funny. But although it clearly is quite funny as well.
Yeah,
it is complex.
Yeah. I think the first time you hear it, because the lines are so easy to hear and immediately bring up a thought, then natural embarrassment or reaction can be laughter. You know, if you've heard, like, now I've heard it a number of times, I'm not getting surprised by the lyric. But now it's like, oh, that is really grim. Yeah. Which is also what's really good about it, because it makes people's ears prick up, doesn't it? That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And one of the gigs,
so I wouldn't get upset that someone was laughing about it.
No,
because it's the first thing
it's a good sign,
Yeah.
I think it's a good sign.
Very English humour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and what I hadn't realised from learning it and singing it was that when the kind of middle eight comes about, like you have a whiskey and your depression has a beer, it just keeps going back, and it's like, okay, this is actually, it's quite a bad day. It's meant to be a celebration. That's good.
Hypnagogic, is that how you say that word?
Yeah, well, I think the Americans would say, well, it's up to you. Yeah, that's the way I pronounce it,
How do the Americans say it?
How do they say it?
I heard someone say it on the
Hypnagogic?
Yeah, something very different to
Hypnagogic.
Anyway, that song, see, again, this is what I'm listening to. It feels like a safe place after previous songs. The concept, rather obviously the style. Was that a deliberate choice on the order to put that following that one, or what was the thoughts list about the track listings in that place particularly?
Yeah, track listings is brilliant, isn't it? So I'm reminded, I went to see a gig, probably you went to a Idlewild, and then the Wedgwood, and then having someone said, oh, this is the first song on side B, and I thought, oh, I can really embody that. It's a lot of anxiety provoking, thinking about what songs go next to each other. And then I know albums on, as physical entities as they used to be. But this idea that once you made that decision, you've got to stick to it. You know, like when song 4 is song 4 and song 5 follows it, that's it. You know.
Yeah.
So it's obviously I want a bit of light and dark, and like you say, Depression does two jobs. It does. It's quite still an upbeat pop song, but it's very challenging, maybe lyrically. But so yeah, Hypnagogic maybe was a release to that, you know, to counter that. You know.
One of the songs that we haven't mentioned, I don't think very much, is Tide at the moment. Now I'm sure, as skilled musicians, it's deliberately feeling Tide, or it's all coming in and going out all the way through the song, which I think is absolutely amazing. I put it on the backing vocals, sort of like coming in and going out. Will, your bass wobbles on there? I know it's probably not the right term, bass wobbles. Little slidey jazz bass things.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I'm particularly interested in this song in terms of Jamie's written it and you've come in and collaborated on. How did the collaboration on that song happen?
I think we were sat in my kitchen when we came up with that harmony. And
the end.
Yeah, and the end bit. Yeah, I've got this sort of quite strong memory of that, and it just being quite. What if we do that? I can't remember whose idea. It was your idea, James, to do the sort of word salad at the end.
Word salad.
Never heard that before. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came.
Love it.
But it all kept, my memory is it just happened like that. It wasn't again particularly thought out. It just sort of fell together.
Yeah.
And again, first time we tried it, we thought, oh, we're never going to do it that well again.
Yeah.
What holds that end section together musically? Because I've seen you do it live, and the first time I saw you do it, I was like, oh, that was genius. Like, you all just went off, and then you all managed to come back. The Avengers assemble at the same point. I mean,
Did you think we'd messed up? Because I can see people in the audience who think, oh God, they've really gone wrong here. Which is
Not
great.
me, well, I don't know really. Knowing that I don't think you would all have messed up.
Yeah.
I can imagine one person might have gone off, got a bit rogue, but the fact you all went rogue, I thought this has got to be deliberate. Yeah. I can imagine, like, if Rose was like, so how did you engineer that to land back at the same point? Because musically I was really interested in that bit.
It's done off me, because when we do it live, there's no specific amount of times we'll sing it. We don't, again, that's quite a Jamie and the Jets thing, it's just to be quite organic. So I'll sing it a bit more forcefully and louder, and I'll start off the chain reaction by singing it in time. Sometimes we're in rhythm, and they all hear me do it,
right?
And then they know that's their key. So that's their key. Sorry.
And we can tell by his tone of voice if we should just get in quick and get out, or if we can dwell a bit longer.
Yeah. And that's playing live with the band. You know, that's understanding each other. You know, communicating musically.
Yeah. I would imagine it's quite satisfying to do live, and then think,
Well, it can be quite uncomfortable when you're all going off, and it doesn't feel natural because we're so used to being in together. So for me, it's like, I've had enough of this now. Tension's enough. Can we come back
How
together?
long can you drag it out?
Yeah,
before someone cracks.
Yeah, I hear you guys doing something. Oh, that was nice. I'm going to copy that. But that was a good clash. Or speaking, sometimes you do. But we stay in time. I stay in time with you as
the
well.
bass and guitar hold it.
Which is difficult.
It's because you're singing something. Yeah, and as a musician, you're constantly looking for triggers and things to put you where you are. Like, this is that bar, this is that section. So when you're all specifically trying to upset each other, unbalance each other's musical thing, and your instinct as a musician is to listen to someone, and you're listening to it going, what's she singing that for?
Yeah.
Well, that's way out, you know. But obviously it's deliberate. You know.
And it's like you say with the tide, it's like we run down that kind of scale. I don't even know what it is, but the voices are going, and it's like the tide comes in, kind of washes out, it leaves all this straggly stuff around.
I see it like a game of Jenga, where you're deliberately putting all the wobbly bits. Yeah. Then right at the end you go, let's put it back in again, and hold it back together. Yeah. You let it really
that's
topple.
a nice image.
It was a bit of a release then. It's like,
So that's just, I don't know if it's interesting just for the recording, but we can talk about the ending. So it was conceived in my head because I had the lyric whilst walking down a hill in Wales, again with Lucy, and we were anxious about each other going for this walk. And then, as we got to the end of the walk, we both relaxed, and I thought to myself, "Oh, we're in rhythm and harmony. You know, that's nice when we can be like that." And I thought they're both musical words, so I thought, "Oh, you could sing that." But obviously, the joke is to sing it out of time and out of pitch. So I thought of that in my head And I thought, oh, I'd love to show that to the band and see how they, how we deal with that. That'd be funny. You know?
Yeah, I think it really works.
I'd forgotten that story actually.
Yeah.
It did help hearing that when we were trying to do it.
Yeah.
I think initially you were trying to get us to do it much more just spoken.
Yeah. Oh well, I was trying to get it really off the wall, really, really weird and really.
Yeah.
No, Jamie.
Modernist.
Do your blue whale.
Again.